Welcome back. I'm Nicolbw, and while I play PowerWash Simulator, I will also be talking about relationships. So if this topic is not for you, feel free to skip this video. I hope you join us for the next one though. This week I needed a break from Minecraft, but next week we will be right back to it. So today I am talking about relationships. This can be relationships with a significant other, with your children, with your friends, other family members, with your viewers. So my relationship with you guys. I feel like the most important thing in any relationship is communication. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. Communication is key. I think that a good example is look at any movie that has kind of a rom-com type of thing. Actually, any kind of movie. Communication is important. They never talk about the actual issue or explain themselves. If they did, the movie would be over. There'd be no conflicts. And so they have to leave out that communication for there to be even have a movie. So, yeah. But you have to remember that just because something is on your mind doesn't mean that it's on other people's mind. So other people can't read your mind. So if there's something information-wise that you want other people to know, you have to tell them. So one of the things that, especially in a significant other sort of situation, they can't read your mind. You have to be specific with what you want or need from them. You have to be able to open up and talk about it. If you can't trust them enough to be able to communicate your needs and wants, then you need to reevaluate. Maybe is this person the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with if you can't even talk to them? So communication is very extremely important, but so are boundaries. Boundaries are important as well. Boundaries are not for other people. Boundaries are for you. You set boundaries for yourself. You're not setting boundaries for other people. You can't tell other people what to do. Just flat out, you can't. Nobody likes to be told what to do, and so it's not fair of you to be able to tell somebody else what to do. But you can tell others what you're willing to do or not do, or how far you'll go for them. So if somebody is asking you to do something, you can simply say, I'm sorry, I am not willing to do that. I have boundaries, like this is not something that I'm willing to do. Also, no is a complete sentence. I'm giving a lot of information like quickly here. I don't mean to, but you don't always have to explain why you are not going to do something, or why your answer is no. No is a complete sentence. And so if somebody says, hey, will you, or do you want to go out to the club this weekend? You can just simply say no. You don't have to explain yourself. If you have someone asking if you will babysit, you could just say no. You don't have to explain why you don't want to do it. Any explanation you give gives them ammo to combat that and solve that problem, so you don't have that excuse to say no. So don't give them that opportunity. Just flat out say no if that's what your answer is. Don't say no if you're willing to do it, obviously. But I feel like setting boundaries is important, especially when it comes to in-laws. We all have heard bad horror stories of, especially mother-in-laws. I've had terrible mother-in-laws, but I have also had good. I've had good interactions with my mother-in-law as well. So, but boundaries are definitely important. I feel like it improves your relationship because you know where people stand on an issue, and you know what they're willing to do and what they're not willing to do. Also be honest and understanding with people. I think honesty is very important. I always share with you guys in my videos what I'm thinking, or try to. I get distracted a lot and go off on tangents, or I'll start a thought and then get distracted in the middle of my sentence and then move on to something else. And I don't think that's always a bad thing, but I think it's very distracting when I'm editing my videos and I wish I would have completed my sentence because what I started to say was kind of important and you guys didn't get that information. So I'll try to be better with that. Yeah, so being honest with people about what's going on, just like the cheating thing in the last video, I'm always honest if I do cross that line and have to, for instance, grab something in creative mode to continue on in the pack. So I will be honest with you guys so that way you guys can trust what I'm saying and trust me. Also be understanding of what other people are telling you. Be willing to listen to what they're really saying, and try to understand where they're coming from and understand where their boundaries are. And if you guys can do that and keep those ideas in mind when you're dealing with someone, your relationship is going to be a lot better when you're not constantly crossing boundaries you shouldn't be, or you can't trust somebody to be honest with you, or you can't trust them to even communicate their needs to you. You're always going to be wondering if what they want or need is not being fulfilled. So those are really important. So quite a few years ago, my husband and I went through a very, very bad patch in our marriage, and we ended up going to a marriage counseling class that was offered by the Army, and ended up being shown these videos by a man named Mark Gungor. And his advice was honestly the turning point for our marriage. And ever since then, we have been communicating better. We have been able to express our needs and wants better. We've been listening to each other more. We have been understanding where each other are coming from more. And it's something, honestly, that I feel like if we had not gone to that and watched those videos, I don't know if our marriage would have lasted. But it's something that we have preached to others. And I use the word preach kind of in funny terms. But if you look up the guy in his videos, you'll understand what I mean. But something that he said that really kind of stuck with us, there are a few things, but one thing I wanted to talk about is the difference between how men think and how women think. Now, it's not all men, it's not all women. I actually feel like sometimes I have more of a man's brain in certain circumstances, and but honestly, I probably have more of a woman's brain. So the way he explained this was, a man's brain is like a room full of boxes. Each box is nice and neatly organized. They all have a topic matter. So when a man wants to think about a certain thing, let's say football, he gets out his football box, opens it up. He's then thinking about football, and that's the only thing he's thinking about. When he's done thinking about it, he puts the lid back on, puts it back on the shelf, and then he moves on to another box. Or maybe there is nothing. There's a nothing box, and there's nothing in that box. That's when men say they're thinking about nothing. They have their nothing box open. So, I think the point he was trying to make is that they're not multitasking in their head. They're only thinking about one thing at a time. And I've seen a lot of TikToks explaining that sort of thing, but not in that way. It still falls in that category. So for example, I saw a TikTok of a guy saying, hey, listen, if your lady sends you this text message and there's 4 questions in it, you can't just focus on one question. You have to answer all the questions. So it's the same sort of thing. You can't just pick one topic. You have to be able to answer all of the topics. So, the difference is that a woman's brain is more like a ball of string or a ball of wire that's all mixed up. Everything crosses everything else. They're all connected. It's just I don't want to say a jumbled mess. We're not a jumbled mess in our head, but if we think of something, it might lead us to thinking of something else, and then something else, and something else, and we might be thinking of 4 or 5 things at a time, and we have all of these things going through our head, and it's almost like multitasking your thought process. So when she's sitting there wondering all of these things, and then she texts you 4 different questions because those are 4 things that she needs answers to, and you only answer one of those questions, it's very frustrating, because then we feel like you're not really listening and fulfilling those needs to the point of being, I don't know. I feel like if we can understand that men are very focused on one topic at a time, and women tend to be more focused on a group of things at a time, if we understand that of each other, it's easier to accommodate that when we talk to each other. So I know when I go to talk to my husband, he's kind of hard of hearing. He lost part of his hearing in the Army. So I have to get his attention first. And I have to wait until he is focused on me. Otherwise, he's not going to hear me because he's either thinking about something, he's in a box and he's thinking about something that's not me, or he just didn't hear me, and I need to get his attention. So it's usually the latter. He just didn't hear me. But I do know that I have to make an attempt first to get his attention. I can't just start saying what I want to say. So I have to make that accommodation for him. But he also has to make an accommodation for me and know that I'm probably going to talk about more than one topic at a time. So he needs to pay attention and make a list of all of those topics. And then he can go one by one answering those topics or responding to them, which is fine. So I tend, when I text, I only talk about one topic at a time. I don't like it when people text me and talk about a whole bunch of different things in one big long message. I don't like that. It's too much. Send them all separately. So in that aspect, I'm more of a man brain when it comes to texting. And I text that way back. So that's how me and my husband respond to each other. We'll have like 3 or 4 conversations going at the same time, but we're sending only short messages about each topic. It's not one big long message with all of the topics combined. So I think that helps. That was one of the things that once we understood and we talked about, hey, do you really think like this? Is the box thing really how your brain works? And once we realized that our brains work completely different from each other, and we now know that communication is not just, oh, he should be thinking this, or he should be able to do this. That's not always the case. You have to make an adjustment, especially for someone that you want to have a relationship with, whether it be a significant other like I've been talking about, or whether it's a parent or a child. Their brain may not work the same as yours, and if you can make those accommodations and understand how their brain works, you can communicate and change the way that you're communicating with them so that they are understanding you better and you're getting better results from them. I don't like it when people play games with each other, or you should know how I feel, or whatever it is. Just because you mention in passing that you happen to like these flowers doesn't mean that that person is going to take that information as important and note it down for later, and only get you those flowers. If they get you like if a guy gets a woman flowers and she goes, these are beautiful, but in the future I would love these flowers instead because they're my favorite. Like, don't take that as a knock that she hates the flowers and you did a bad job. No. You did a great job. You got flowers. In fact, I think the majority of women would rather get 1 flower a day for 12 days in a row than just a dozen flowers for 1 day. It shows that you're thinking about them. That's what the gift is the thought of them, that you're thinking of them. So getting their favorite flower also means that you're thinking of them even more, that you've made the effort to remember their favorite flower. So it goes with gift giving as well. You notice things people like, people don't like, and you make the effort to go out of your way to get them something. It shows you thinking about them. It shows you're paying attention to them, that you know them. And so it's a good way of building that good relationship with the other person. So I hope that taught you guys something. It was a very big turning point in my life, realizing how to communicate with my significant other. So that's it for today. If you've made it this far and haven't subscribed yet, please do so below. I hope the rest of your day is a good one and tomorrow is even better. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.